Thank you so much, Marty. It is so wonderful to be here. I'm very excited. What an inspiring day to follow so many people with very extraordinary projects going on, I must say. So it's been over a year since I've been at the helm of Baryshnikov Arts in New York City, and I'm very proud to say that our journey has been transformative coming out of the pandemic, which was brutal for the performing arts, especially in cities. So not just for us, but for all performing arts throughout the city. We accomplished so much this past year at Baryshnikov Arts, and I'm excited because this is really just the very beginning. As the executive director of Baryshnikov Arts, I am at the forefront, collaborating with Mikhail Baryshnikov, Misha, a true icon in the world of dance and culture. My professional trajectory was supported by Misha through his mentorship. I met him when I was 15 years old as a ballet student, and has spanned my 24-year career, ballet career, which culminated, as Marty said, in transitioning into business and arts administration. So this unique combination of artistic sensibility and business acumen is unique, but it is also critical in propelling performing arts organizations towards unparalleled artistic and financial success, which does not often go in the same sentence. So Mr. Baryshnikov's relentless pursuit of artistic innovation over the years and his staunch advocacy for freedom of expression has profoundly reshaped the arts landscape around the world. Next year, we will be seeing his 50th anniversary of his historic defection from Russia, and our mission at Baryshnikov Arts is to fervently uphold his legacy of artistic integrity and interdisciplinary collaboration. So oftentimes people think Baryshnikov Arts, it's just dance, but we actually support dance, music, theater, film, whatever constitutes artistic activities. So as Marty said, Baryshnikov Arts Center is located in New York City's Hudson Yards. It is a beacon of artistic innovation and activity. Our programs have supported thousands upon thousands of artists, nurturing talent that spans across multiple countries and graces the stages of the world's most respected art centers. We've many achievements, and our vision is evolving into the future. So far, we have solidified our role not only in the arts, but have also sharpened our vision for what is possible. The more we accomplish, the more we see the potential for even greater impact. So again, as Marty said, imagine a future where Baryshnikov Arts becomes a global benchmark for excellence in arts in parallel to Mr. Baryshnikov's reputation. This is the world I inhabit daily, making decisions and developing business strategies that turn this vision into reality. This achievable plan for the future, running Baryshnikov Arts very much with the financial stability of a college endowment, we can envision artist residencies and programs, each funded at $500,000 to revolutionize both the artistic and economic infrastructure of New York City and beyond, and elevating the experiences that we offer. So how can you be a part of this grand vision? Because of course we are a community. $100,000, we can establish a year-long program covering essential aspects like salaries for artists and our performances. $500,000 helps to establish an endowed program in your honor, ensuring its sustainability. $2 million allows us to build the Mikhail Baryshnikov Library and Archives, a cultural treasure trove. $3 million helps us construct a year-round training and mentoring program so that we can continue to nurture and shape the future of artistic talent. And $10 million provides a foundational grant to begin building an arts-based retirement community in line with our artistic programming. So, of course, this vision transcends fiscal targets. It's about building a community of shared values and ambitions and having a profound influence on our cultural identities and collective humanity. There are more ways, as Marty mentioned, with our executive committee, for example, advocating for our mission, amplifying our voice within each of your own networks, and participating in our events and programs, fostering a continuing, vibrant community. So your support is pivotal in making these dreams a reality, and I hope you will join our mission.
Great. So some of the things I want to point out is that so Baryshnikov Arts, the model of performing arts is pretty much broken in the United States. And one of the reasons is that if you try to go to a Broadway show, now it uses this demand pricing. So it's way out of the pricing for any average person to go to. At the beginning of the day, or maybe when we talk with USL, I don't think they're here right now, but they'll be at dinner. You know, we talked about how your ticket prices at Yankees games used to be $10 for the bleachers, right? Now they're 50. Everything's priced out of you know the ability of the average person to go to it. Baryshnikov Arts was pricing their tickets to go see a show, which they spent $70,000 to produce. The price was $25. What's the price now?
35. We raised it after 18 years.
So, right, so that doesn't really drive a lot of attendance or a lot of revenue. It drives attendance, but not revenue. So they get thousands of people to come to shows. They have, how can I put it? They have thousands of artists perform and be parts of their different residency programs. So again, Baryshnikov Arts is not a ballet company. It is a physical venue that allows thousands of people to come in and train there. It's like a postdoctoral program for great artists, and they can build up their artistry. And the artists go on to perform at all the great art centers around the world, right? And they're not just American, they're from 50 plus countries around the world, right? So, so what Sonja talked about when I met with her was that she says, you know what? I need $40 million to build out the infrastructure to make my vision. And she said, basically, we have this great asset, this real estate asset that's empty 6 months of the year. So we put her in touch with somebody who's going to help her rent it out. So they're going to rent it out. Again, it's a not-for-profit, it's not taxable. So they are able to rent it out at market prices. So right now, what's your market rate? What is your rate for other performing artists or not-for-profits to use your venue?
It's very low.
It's about $10 an hour. Wow. Right, in New York City.
$10 an hour?
For some spaces that are like 1,000 square feet.
We did a $10,000 grant from New York State, but that doesn't come anywhere near covering our costs.
So, but these are venues that if they were at market rates, they price out around $45,000 a day to rent.
Right.
So Sonja's implementing a program to rent out this space. She rents out their building for, so again, the building is empty half the year, so about 180 days a year. If she rents it out for 10 days, they're in the black. Right. If she rents it out for a month, they have enough money to start a lot of infrastructure projects, right? They can build a rooftop lounge, they can acquire land out in rural New York State. They can build the Baryshnikov Library, etc. So it all cash flows, right? So their mission today, and Sonja is very mission focused. Their mission today is to build out this revenue engine from the real estate, which is phenomenally valuable. Considering he bought the real estate for about $2 million, it's worth north of 30 million right now today after 20 years, right?
We do share the building.
Right. Have you ever been to Hudson Yards? How many people have ever been to Hudson Yards? You've been to the mall? So it's 2 blocks from there.
It's across the street.
And it's a fantastic space, right?
Come visit. I'll take you on a tour.
If you haven't been there, yeah. So and there's a subway stop right there. So you can just take the subway and you walk right over. So there's a lot of other things that are ambitions that Sonja has with the program again, and so we're trying to help her implement it. I think Peter Lewis is on the executive committee. He's throwing a lot of ideas out of what we can accomplish. Fred Nazem joined the executive committee. A lot of people know Fred. Fred's donating thousands of dollars to the group. Plus he's opening up his Rolodex for us. And so I think that, Sonja's ambition is to, really bring other people into this and help bring things to fruition. So one of the things that we're doing next week is we're having an auction. And we're going to be auctioning off about $50,000 worth of artwork, plus the Lama's artwork we just saw. It's going to be Lama Tashi's artwork. Thanks so much. It's going to be auctioned off as well. And then I think one of the other persons, Marco, I don't know if he's in the audience right now, is offering up a couple $100,000 of artwork So half of the proceeds go to Baryshnikov Arts, right? So, you know, most of the executive committee members have committed to being able to raise $10,000 each for the Baryshnikov Arts. Probably half of us are gonna be there soon for doing that. But we're always trying to gather more executive committee members. Why do we run executive committees, right? Well, one of the reasons is that a lot of family offices meet fund managers and we don't know anything about them. So one way to know people is to build trust, and by being on an executive committee, I would say half our members are family offices, half our members are fund managers or real estate managers. And by getting to know each other, you build trust and how everybody works. Like if somebody joins, does no work, you say, well, if I give them the money, are they gonna do no work with my money also? So you have to ask these questions and see what kind of, you know, what the person's made of, right? And that's why we run these groups. So maybe people might have some questions about the financial models that Sonja has set up, but maybe you can talk about some of the other, you know, business that you've done. I know you're under a non-disclosure agreement, but some of the stuff you've done out in rural areas, you know, running educational camps and things like that.
Sure. Well, just to clarify, we have only now, I've been at Baryshnikov Arts 1 year, we have only now put into place the structure of carving out about 6 months out of the year to set aside for market rate rentals. That has never occurred before. So we are not yet at that place where we are bringing in that type of revenue, but that is something that we want to work towards. So if anybody has a network of companies or people or whoever who's looking to rent space, just reach out to me. I can take you on a tour. We have 4 gorgeous studios and a theater, as Marty said. We are looking to rent out to corporate organizations. So up until now, 18 years, it's been rentals only to artists, so $10 an hour. So we lose money every single day. As Marty said, so prior to coming to Baryshnikov Arts, I was the executive director of an arts organization located upstate New York. If any of you know Rhinebeck, it's not Rhinebeck, but it's 20 minutes away from Rhinebeck. Beautiful property. When I took it over, it had existed for 30 years and was about to go under. I took it over the year before the pandemic started, and we were actually, the pandemic helped us greatly. So while every single arts organization and business closed down, shut their theaters, closed their studios, 3 days after they announced quarantine, we announced our very first outdoor summer festival. And we were the only company that hired and employed artists during a 2 to 3 year period where artists were not working. And we moved all of our operations outside. So now you'll see Lincoln Center and all the arts organizations in New York City, some they have outdoor programming. But we started that right through the middle of COVID. We built outdoor stages and we had solo performers. So everybody was quarantined in their own little spaces. And we did not charge ticket prices actually for any of the shows because it was a difficult time for a lot of people not working, but instead we opened up to donations. And of course, that brought in more revenue than ticket sales ever would have done. Because all arts organizations were closed, nobody had their outlet for their philanthropy except for us because we were open. Simultaneously, we have a summer ballet intensive that historically over 20 years brought in around $300,000. I put bunk beds in the dormitories and we tripled it to $950,000. So, you know, just looking at how you can use space, which is what I'm doing now at Baryshnikov Arts. We have this gorgeous building, these gorgeous studios. How are we using that space? It hasn't been utilized, you know, as efficiently and as effectively as possible. So trying to turn that into a place where we can make earned income, because obviously our mission, as with all arts organizations, do not bring in money. Ticket sales cannot bring in money. The cost of doing performances and the cost of supporting artists at every single arts organization anywhere in the world is very expensive. And that's why all arts nonprofits are constantly, you know, floundering and failing. So part of what I am trying to do, and again, I've only been there 1 year, but I want to redo what the arts nonprofit model is so that it is no longer an arts nonprofit model, but actually a for-profit model. Which I think there are numerous ways we can do that. As Marty said, we're working on some very exciting things, but we do have an NDA in place. But I'm always happy to meet with any of you and give give you a little insight, and of course, always welcome advice from all of you very, very smart people. And would love to find ways of partnering also with for-profit companies, because I think there are areas, technology, real estate, education, healthcare, all of that, that actually, when I listen to all of you speaking today and other conferences, I see a lot of areas where there is a bridge where we could work together that would really work well for both sides. So thank you.
So I think that, a couple of things. One thing is that the whole ethos of Baryshnikov, if you've met him, is that he doesn't want to sell out art. So although he has probably one of the greatest brands in performing arts ever, he's not going to go and put his face on coffee cups and sell it to the world, right? He really wants to preserve the beauty and purity of art. And I think Sonja has this model that says we can do this with the assets that we have, make them work, acquire more assets, and maybe we can leverage the art of the Baryshnikov brand further rather than putting Baryshnikov's face on t-shirts, right? So it's very interesting. I really think it's worthwhile having, a phone call with Sonja. If you're in New York, you come and you take a tour of the space, which is phenomenal. It's an unknown space. And if you go there and say, how did I not know about this space that's in New York? I mean, it's been just sitting there. So one thing I want to say is that if you know a lot of not-for-profits in the arts world, there's not a lot of business people employed in it. So Sonja, are you the first person to ever run Baryshnikov Arts that had a business degree, or?
Yes.
Yeah, so talk about your background. I mean, so most of these not-for-profits are run by artists or former or friends of Mikhail, et cetera, or other artists. And
That is true with all arts organizations.
Yes. So the ethos is that, I don't know how many people know Ziad Abdullah. So he's runs a multifamily office, for years and years, Lebanese guy. I was working on a deal with him 15 years ago with Marie DeFalco, who some people here might know as well. And it was Saturday night at midnight, and we were all sending each other emails. And like, I'll read this mag that we have to work on, and Sal would know the ethos of like, you're never really off, right? So Sonja's one of the few persons I know who will exchange emails at 5 o'clock in the morning on Sunday morning and saying, let's rock and roll, we're gonna get this stuff done, right? And it's proven itself out, because in 2 months, this executive committee has really made great strides with Sonja. Sonja she leads the charge, right? So she's like she's a catalyst for a certain sort of work ethic, which is unknown in the arts space. And I think that, with the right amount of capital, she can really make some things happen. And maybe you can talk about your organizational changes, what you're trying to accomplish organizationally, professionalizing things, et cetera.
Well, first, I just want to say I feel very lucky to have found this job, because when I retired from dancing, I had absolutely no idea what to do with the rest of my life, and I was only 38 years old, which is very normal for a ballet dancer. And my entire career took place when there was no internet, there was no Instagram, so it was a very, very big change. So I have to say, I wake up every morning excited to work. I love my job. I love what we're doing. I believe in it 100%, and I think there's really exciting things ahead. What was your question?
Talk about the professionalism you're trying to instill in the organization.
Well, a lot of arts nonprofits are started by artists or former artists, as Marty said, without any understanding of how to run a business. And I say that from someone with experience, because while I was still dancing, I started my own dance company, and I had absolutely no concept of what I was doing. I didn't know what a balance sheet was. I didn't even know what Excel was, and I ran it for 6 years, and I ran it, and it existed, and it was fine, but it wasn't going to go anywhere phenomenal. So I know what it is to run an arts organization as an artist without the understanding of how to run a business. So you would be very surprised if you pull back the curtain on most arts organizations, how they are being operated. They all exist and they'll all survive, but barely, because they're actually not being run well. And I don't say that negatively, I just say that as, like stays with like, and artists are in the arts world. So they need people like you, who can lend the other side of the brain for them. So at Baryshnikov Arts, when I took over last year, there were a lot of things that needed to be done, a lot of things that needed to be professionalized, people with the right skills that don't just understand art, but understand the outcomes that we need. And that's very different than saying, I want to create a gorgeous painting or a gorgeous dance or a gorgeous piece of music. Running a company is very different than that. It's absolutely no different than all the companies that you all are running or the people that we spoke to today. Just because the product is art doesn't mean that it shouldn't be run like a company. So I feel very excited that I get to do that at this company.
And so just like the USL, it's not just about soccer, it's actually a real estate play. This is also something that's very interesting, because if you run like a business, you know, how many people can say, so there already is a Baryshnikov Arts Endowment, it has millions of dollars in it. This business will be cash flowing in the next year, so it'll be in the black. Every step of the way that you take with what Sonja is constructing, it will be a cash flowing business with the endowment growing. $40 million into the business makes it into an institutional endowment. It cash flows, it just cash flows, it gets back to an endowment that within 5 years with the $40 million can get to $50 million size, additional size, with what the assets it already has. And I'm not sure how many people can say that they're on the ground floor of helping a nice size endowment being created. I think only, I'm gonna say, and some people might be able to correct me, probably less than 5% of endowments are larger than $100 million, right? But we can get there, somebody can get there constructing something like that. It's a great thing to say that you've been part of it. I mean, so the thing is to say, you know, what have you been part of? You're part of preserving performing arts, which is, you know, the model is really under stress, right? If anybody here ever took a ballet lesson, if you have a child, a daughter that took a ballet lesson, or any kind of singing lessons, or music lessons, etc., that's all in danger in major cities because the cost is so high, right? So, but there's a great chance for Baryshnikov Arts to take its model and really extend it, right? And there's almost a distress model around it because they're in the black today that they can leverage that model to a lot of distressed assets in other cities. And just think about what it's like in places like San Francisco, Los Angeles, Chicago, where people have stopped going into the downtown areas, right? So it's a fantastic brand that can be leveraged. So Sonja, maybe you want to just talk some more about, you know, where you see it in 4 or 5 years under your stewardship, et cetera.
4 or 5 years, I see the Baryshnikov Arts brand really representing all of New York State, both city and upstate, and then we can see from there.
It might even be some opportunities in Miami as well. So if you have any questions, Al?
Sure.
Do you concentrate all in performing arts? Do you do much physical art?
So for the past 18 years, it's been primarily performing arts, but we are opening up to be inclusive of visual art as well. So one of the things that we really try to encourage and nurture is multidisciplinary art, which means you have a show, for example, that incorporates dance with music, with visual art, with, you know, film. And one of the reasons for that, and I sort of implemented this at the previous company I was at, is that each audience for each artistic discipline is very specific and tends to be rather exclusive and small. So the dance audience, for example, is the smallest audience. Now, we want to grow our audience. How do we grow our audience? You have to put on programming that draws people who like other things. So for example, when I was upstate at this organization, we had Patti Smith perform. A lot of people come out for Patti Smith, but in partnership with that, we had dance. So people who would not normally go to dance but came to see Patti Smith stayed for the dance. Same thing, we have a very set dance audience who don't normally go to a music show, stay for the music show. So similarly, visual art, that has a very specific set of audience and supporters. So trying to bring all of that collectively together, we are trying to grow our audience to be more inclusive of all art supporters.
I have performed painting when Baryshnikov was singing
Oh, wonderful.
upstairs New York.
Oh, very, see?
It
Wonderful.
works.
Yes.
Any other questions? Norm?
So I just want to remind Marty that the space is also very viable for production companies who want to, need a set or need a, whatever.
So I was talking to somebody who told me that their apartment building has been used many times over the years by Sex and the City as the front for the apartment building, and they get paid $500,000 for each time it's used as a part of their sets, and it helps keep their co-op prices down.
So
So there's, if you see the facade of Baryshnikov Arts, it's really fantastic. And even the interiors are very nice as well. So that's an opportunity that we're looking at too. We have a couple of people who are filmmakers, Steve McCarthy, people like that. Nikki Walter's involved, Ron England. They're all part of the executive committee. So any other comments? Guys, we are super late for dinner. So Sonja, thanks so much.